Jananīm Sharadām Devīm Rāmakrishnam Jagadgurum Pādapadmē Tayo Sritvā Pranamāmi Muhurmuhuhu. Om Sthapakaya ca Dharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Om. May Brahman protect us both. May Brahman bestow upon us both the fruit of knowledge. May we both obtain the energy to acquire knowledge. May what we both study reveal the truth. May we cherish no ill feeling toward each other. Om. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. This is a Shanti Patha, one of the Shanti Pathas. There are several. Shanti Patha means peace chants. So before undertaking any serious study, there must be a prayer to God. Then there must be also a good understanding between the teacher and the students. So that is what is mentioned here. First is prayer to God. Let this study be very peaceful, fruitful. Let there be no obstructions. And above all, let the teacher be endowed with the power of expressing. Let the student have the power of receiving. And let there be no misunderstanding. Because if misunderstanding comes, everything becomes fruitless. So this is one of the Upanishadic listing. The other two Shanti Pathas. We salute Jananīm Sharadām Devi, Holy Mother, Divine Mother Sharada Devi, Ramakrishnam Jagadguru, Sri Ramakrishna, who is the teacher of the whole world. Pada Padme Tayo Sritva, having taken refuge at their feet, that means surrendering to them. Pranamami Muhurmu, again and again I salute. The other one is Sthapakaya ca Dharmasya, one who is the establisher of Dharma. We will talk about what is Dharma. Sarva Dharma Swarupini, he is of the embodiment of all dharmas that are possible in the past, what are obtained now, and what are going to obtain come in the future also. He will be the embodiment of it. That is why another name for God is Dharma. Avatara Varishtaya, he who manifested the greatest glory of an incarnation. Salutations to such a Ramakrishna. So what is an avatara? That also we will discuss in today's class. Okay, with this introduction, what I want you to do, let it be a kind of workshop. That means if you have got any questions, ask me freely. It is not a lecture, it is a study class. So I will start in this way. Before studying anything serious, usually scriptures, we say in our Hindu tradition or Vedantic tradition, 4 related questions must be asked. How many? 4. In Sanskrit, there is a technical word for this. It is called Anubandha Chatushtaya. Chatushtaya means 4. Anubandha means that which is preliminary, requisitory questions. And if we ask those four questions, not only those four questions related to spiritual life, but even to secular life, then it will be really wonderful. So, what are those four questions like this? The first question, first let me do this one. Vishaya, Prayojana, Sambandha, Adhikari. Let me put it. Prayojana, Vishaya, Sambandha, Adhikari. Did you get it? Prayojana, Vishaya, Sambandha and Adhikari. Most rational way of doing this. Okay, what is it? First thing is, what is the Prayojana? Before you undertake any action, this is the question that needs to be put. Why do I want? Two questions, or rather three questions, which Ramakrishna used to put. In the study of this great master, Sri Ramakrishna used to, has been described as, before undertaking any particular spiritual practice, he would ask himself three questions. The first question is, what is it that you want to achieve? The second question is, that do you really want it 100%? Third question is, are you ready to sacrifice everything, anything that is necessary to achieve that goal? So, three questions. What are those three questions? What is it you want to achieve? Second, do you want to achieve it really? Otherwise, you want something else and you study something else, it's not going to work out. And if we want to be really successful in any of these endeavors, we have to pay the right price, necessary price. There is nothing called free lunch. We have to pay for every bit of it. And of course, who is going to pay? This is also we will discuss later on. It is God who pays. What do I mean? God's grace comes in the form of payment. What is that payment? What is that necessary things? Do you know what is the necessary things? Three things. Durlabham trayamevaitat daivanugraha hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayaha. Human birth, the desire for God, and the necessary help to achieve God realization. All these are possible only by God's grace. So if we think, I wanted to pay all these things, we have no choice but to pray to God first. The second thing that is necessary is, we must have the desire. Billions of human beings are there. How many billions? 7 billion. How many people want really? Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit. Among millions of people, only few people want spiritual life. And of those few people, only 1 in a million really succeed. It is a verse of profound meaning. We will not go into that now. But what is necessary is, our very existence is possible because of God. So that is, God Himself is paying the price on our behalf. It is He who pays the price. It is He who inspires us. It is He who brings out all these things. And it is He ultimately who reveals. From beginning to the end, it is nothing but God, God's grace. This is proved 100% in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Okay. Now, we will explore these 4 points. 4 points. If we want to succeed in anything, what is your goal? Second, what is the subject or what is the path? Third, what is the relationship between the subject and the book are the discussions we are going to have. And ultimately, who is a fit person? These are the 4 questions one needs to ask before undertaking. If we do this, not only in spiritual life, but in secular life, definitely we would be very successful. Okay, let us explore. What is the subject? Today, we have started studying the study of Sri Ramakrishna's life as written by Swami Sharadananda. We have to be very clear. We are not going to go to any other books written. Umpteen number of people have written books. So for a simple example, Ramakrishna Order itself has written the life of Sri Ramakrishna, and Christopher Isherwood has written. In every language, so many people have written. We are not going to take those books at all, excepting for some incidents which we might use as illustrations. But our main study is Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga. But before that, we have to ask, what is your goal? What do you want? What is the goal? Why do we want to study the life of Sri Ramakrishna? There must be a goal. It is very clear. What is it? We want to progress in life. Simplest answer is we want to progress in life. Why did I not say we want to progress in spiritual life? I could have told that. No, because Sri Ramakrishna's life indicates that progress never takes place in one particular field. You see, a person who wants, even simplest example also I will give you. If suppose you go to a gymnasium and exercise your toe, only your toe, what would be the condition of your health?
The toe would be good.
You have to exercise entire body, if necessary, a special exercise for strengthening particular parts of the body, but entire. What for do you want to exercise? Why do you want to go to gymnasium? Because we want to have a healthy body. This is an example. So no exercise will be successful unless overall everything is taken into consideration. Simple example, if a person is very unhealthy, will he progress in spiritual life? Not possible. If the mind is not healthy, will it progress in spiritual life? Not possible. So body, mind is necessary. Will somebody be successful even in worldly life if body, mind are diseased? Not possible. So we will have to have all this background material, instrument must be ready. So what is most important here? What is your goal in studying the life of Sri Ramakrishna, not anything else? First, we would like to progress in life. Second, we want specially to progress in spiritual life. Third, we want to develop more devotion to God. Fourth, to develop devotion to God, we have to have understanding. Now here is a deep connection which we will explore in future classes between knowledge and devotion. Okay, simple example I am giving you right now. Can you desire something of which you have no knowledge? It's impossible, because if you don't know about something, the question of thinking about it and desiring it never arises. Secondly, the more knowledge we have about it, that determines whether that object is desirable or undesirable, and if desirable, how much is it desirable? That depends upon one factor. Every desire depends upon one single factor. Do you know what that factor is? Huh?
How strong it is?
No. That we are talking about, not about strength. Every desire has a root. That is why it is in Sanskrit is called kama or kamana. Kamana means desire. I want it. Why do you want it?
Happy.
Yes, that is the answer. So, we want to be happy. That's a very general answer. The specific answer is the knowledge of a particular object determines whether we are right or wrong. That's not the point. But if we understand it properly, then what it does to us is that how much happiness does it give to me? So if I think this particular object can give me 100% happiness, my desire for that particular object will be how much? 100%. Why? Because the desire is not our problem. Desire is only an instrument. It is happiness which we want. And we think we don't have it. This is also a point we will discuss further from Sri Ramakrishna's life. So what is the point here? What is the prayojana? Prayojana is we want to realize God. And Sri Ramakrishna's life provides us, increases our knowledge of God. Why we should realize God? In how many ways does it do it? First of all, we must be very clear whether such an object called God really exists. When we study the life of Sri Ramakrishna, there will be no doubt about it that God exists. Not only that, God must be realized. God can be realized. These are three separate subjects. God exists, God must be realized, God can be realized. We will explore it later on. I am only giving the introduction. So, first thing is, why are we studying the life of Sri Ramakrishna? Simple answer is, we want to improve our life, progress in life. Second answer is, we want to develop devotion to Sri Ram, because we are all, in a way of speaking, specially devoted. We are not talking about other gods and goddesses. We are talking about Sri Ramakrishna. Okay, that is the first. What is the next one? Vishaya. Okay, you want to develop devotion to Sri Ramakrishna, progress in life. That is the prayojana. Prayojana means goal in life. So what is it that can take us to that goal? That is the next goal. That is called Vishaya. Vishaya means what? Subject matter. If you want to be a doctor, studying Wordsworth's literary poetry, is it going to help you? When a patient comes to you, do you go on singing some poetry, recite some poetry? Do you think it will remove this thing? So, an appropriate subject. So, if we want to have devotion, bhakti to Sri Ramakrishna, we must, the subject matter should be deeply connected with Sri Ramakrishna. And what can be more related to Sri Ramakrishna's, in any great soul, Sri Ramakrishna's life is most important. Now, any great soul will have two separate subjects, life and teachings. What is it? Is there a difference between these two, life and teachings? Yes, there is a difference. Difference is, teachings is common to every prophet, every sage, every saint. They don't teach anything separate. That they all teach only about God. But it is the life which makes the difference, because the incidents, what Sri Ramakrishna had done, etc. Again, Sri Ramakrishna is not considered by most of us as an ordinary saint. He is Avatara Varishta. We will explore that subject. So, it is something quite different. This is what is the subject? Sri Ramakrishna's life. Sambandha means the relationship between the subject and my goal. What is the relationship between, what is my goal? I want to I have devotion to Sri Ramakrishna and I want to improve my life and I wanted to have more devotion to Sri Ramakrishna. This is the goal. And what is the subject? Sri Ramakrishna's life. This is the relationship. That means if your goal is something, you study subjects which will take you to that goal, and otherwise it is a man wants to go to London and he buys a ticket to go to Wales. That will not help. This is we have to always connect in a broad way. Whatever we are doing, I want to be a devotee of God. So is this going to help me to be a devotee of God? This is the sambandha. And if we pay attention to this sambandha every day, then our mind slowly focuses on what is important and discard what is not important. And this is related to sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, which we will explore later on. What is the fourth one? Okay, I want to be a devotee of God. I am studying this life of Sri Ramakrishna and that will help me to progress in life. Am I an adhikari? What is adhikari? Am I a fit candidate for doing this? So these are the things. Who is a fit candidate? First we will come to that. Who is a fit candidate? Anybody who is sincerely wants to progress in life, in spiritual life, is a fit candidate. Anybody. We are not starting as perfect beings. We are starting as imperfect beings. But we may have many defects in our character, our body, in every way. But one thing, one thread that should be common to all of us is sincerity. It is called Shraddha. I want to sincerely progress in life. I may have 1,000 defects. Other person may have only 1 or 2 defects. That's not my business. Because if I am sincere, then I will reach my goal. This is what Sri Ramakrishna says. For everything there is a quotation from Sri Ramakrishna, either a song or a parable or a teaching, there is a quotation. What is the quotation here? A person sincerely wanted to have the darshan of Lord Jagannath. But he did not know the way. So he started going towards the opposite direction. According to Sri Ramakrishna, he was going to the north. But if somebody starts from South India, he doesn't start going southwards. He starts going towards the north. He would be right. So, on the way he was asking, am I going in the correct way? Because if somebody is sincere, that is what happens. You don't simply close your eyes and then follow. That quest comes. And usually Guru is the person. This is what Sri Ramakrishna is indicating. He will ask, am I traveling in the right direction? And somebody will tell you, no, you are going in the opposite way. The Jagannath Puri is in the other direction. So ultimately he will reach. So his desire expresses in the form of asking a question. And God comes in the form of a guide. That is what somebody will guide him in the proper way. This is the relationship between what Sri Ramakrishna has been trying. So this is how everybody is an fit person. Here there is nobody who is excluded. Only one thing, one condition. What is that condition?
Sincere.
One has to be sincere. That's why Mahapurush Maharaj talks. There is something very wonderful. He says, Sri Ramakrishna will always protect everybody, even if they do any number of mistakes, provided they are not hypocrites. Provided they are sincere, but not hypocrites, he will protect everybody. Because sincerity is ultimately what takes us to God. You can call it seeking truth, you can call it faith, in whatever way you want to express. These things we will explore. So, one of the things is that we want to progress in spiritual life. This is the Vishaya. Second, so we wanted to have, let me read out. Who is a fit person? Anyone who aspires to lead a sane life. This was the thought that came to me. Anybody who wants to lead a sane life. And this is not the realm of psychology. Because psychologists do not know what they are talking about. But they can never help anybody because they don't know what is a sane life. Unless, according to Sri Ramakrishna, everybody in this world is mad. Yeah. The only person, but in the madness, there is a what is called Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. One who desires, who is mad after God, he is also suffering from madness. But his madness will ultimately take him out of the other ones. They go more deep into madness. This brings us the question, why is it? How is it justified? How is it justified? Because from the Advaitic point of view, you are never anything other than God. So, you are thinking, I am a human being. You are thinking, I want God. You are thinking, I have to do the spiritual practice. You are thinking that I need a guru. You are thinking that I am slowly progressing. All these are part of a Maya. That is why I said Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. You understand, Jack?
Yes.
Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. So the whole world, all the people can be divided into two. Those who are controlled by Vidya Maya and those who are controlled by Avidya Maya. So the psychologists, scientists, etc., they can never fall in the category of Vidya Maya because they don't even talk about God or spiritual life. They only, at best, indirectly they talk about. Anyway, we are not going to waste our study. Then what happens? Spiritual life becomes clear with proper guidance. And Sri Ramakrishna can give us the guidance. That's why he is called Margadarshi, Guru. Who is a Guru? One who shows us the way out of darkness is called Guru. Then, why should we study the life of Sri Ramakrishna? Certainty of spiritual life. What is certainty? Are you sure God exists? If you are not sure, you may be doing spiritual practice with a very weak faith, and just before death, say, what a stupid fellow I am. I have been struggling, leading a spiritual life. It is all waste, it is all vain, because the doubt can come. But if we study Sri Ramakrishna's life, the first thing that comes is, God exists and it is a certainty. And how it is a certainty, we will explore later on. Because everything we are going to discuss, not simply based upon faith, there are certain, what is called rationalism. We use rationality to understand this certainty, but it will be in future classes. Then, one of the most important things to progress in spiritual life is right understanding of the scriptures. Right understanding of the scriptures. Otherwise, we can misunderstand. Like, a fat woman went to a doctor and said, I want to become slim. So he prescribed what is called slimming diet. So she took the prescription. Before leaving, she asked, should it be taken before meals or after meals? So, proper understanding of any scripture, that is the greatness. You understand Sri Ramakrishna's life properly, You take any scripture in the world, you will understand it in its correct spirit. What does that mean? That means Sri Ramakrishna provides the right guidelines how to understand scriptures properly. We will also come to that point later on. So now the next point is also, why should we study? Part of this Anubandha Chatushtha is, why should we study? First, Leela Dhyan. When we are studying Sri Ramakrishna's life, what are you doing? What are we doing? It is a deep meditation on the life and teachings and sports divided. And what benefit do we get? What benefit do we get by studying or by doing this Leela Dhyana? What do we get? Okay, before I answer this question, I have to take up another subject which is most important. Whatever points we are discussing today are most crucial guidelines for our further studies. According to Vedanta, rationality must be used as a secondary help, not as a primary help. You don't arrive at the truth through rationality. For all that we are discussing, this is called Shastra Pramana, technical word, Shastra Pramana and Laukika Pramana, worldly authority and scriptural authority. So scriptural authority doesn't brook any reasoning to establish whether it is true or not. It is a most fascinating subject in itself. Again, we will explore as we go ahead. But simply to the essence of it is this: God, life after death, and other lokas, three things, and Punarjanma include reincarnation. These are not subjects. No science, no rationality can prove. Just because whatever knowledge we get through our five sense organs, Swami Vivekananda in his beautiful writing, Sri Ramakrishna and Hinduism, there is a writing. There he says, whatever knowledge we get through our five sense organs, it is called science. It can be science, scientific science, it could be social science, it could be historical science, it could be any type of science. But the knowledge which we get and which we can get, that which is beyond our sense organs, that is called Veda. That's why Veda is not a pramana, is a proof for anything in this world. That's why Vedas have no conflict with either sociology or science or literature or anything, no conflict, because these are two separate fields. They have nothing to do with each other. Now, what is the point?
Can the scriptural authority apparently contradict rationality?
No, never. It cannot contradict, it should not contradict, it need not contradict, because the field is different. I will give you an example, simple example. We have got...
What about that? Chidananda and Vedanta what?
Huh?
Chidananda?
Yes, Chidananda.
Yes, Vedanta all are same?
Same.
Same.
Yes. I will give you a simple example. We have got five sense organs. Say, let us take eye. What is the first speciality of the eye? It can only see only colors and forms, but not even forms, only colors. The speciality of the eyes is only colors. Why do I say? Because even if I am blind, I can touch this and say it is round, it is square, it is flat, it is thick, thin. It's called form. But the eye is authority only as far as colors is concerned. Now, other five sense organs. Simple example. Ear cannot come and say, hey, eyes, you are telling something wrong. It is not blue color, it is red color. The ears cannot touch. What is the point? The point is, when a scripture is telling something, you have a choice either to accept it or not to accept it. But you have no choice in saying it is right or wrong. Do you see the difference between these two? If you like, you can accept. If you don't like, okay, that's fine. But you cannot argue about this scriptural truths simply because they are not arguable. So that is a point which we have to keep in our mind. So when Sri Ramakrishna says that God exists, I see, it is a certainty. You have a choice either to accept that statement or not to accept. But you have no choice to say, no, he is telling something wrong. You cannot say that. Because his experience, he is telling from experience. Now coming back, what is a scripture? What is a scripture? It is the expression of somebody who experienced these factors. God, life after death, and other worlds. Someone who had really experienced, they simply come and says, I have seen it, I have experienced it. You cannot question him whether he is telling right or wrong. Because if he has really seen, until you see, until you experience and say, no, you are wrong, you have got a right to say you are wrong. Until you experience, simply you have to take it on his authority, and since he says so. So the next immediate question that comes to our mind is, why should I believe him? Two things can happen. Either he is telling a lie, or he doesn't mean to tell a lie, but simply he misunderstood something and he is telling. The answer, Vedanta is so crystal clear. Vedantic answer is, look at his life. First, does he ever tell any lie to anybody? Second, has he got any selfishness? Third, does he fear anything? 3 questions. What are the 3 questions? If a person has seen God, he will never ever tell any lie in his life. Second, is he selfish? If a person is selfish, then to gain something, he might tell you something which he doesn't know and he may mislead you. Third, does he fear anything? Fear again comes from what? What is the root cause of fear?
Duality.
Lack of love.
Selfishness. Duality, correct. Duality. Selfishness. If a person is not selfish, he doesn't fear anything. A person who has seen God, he doesn't fear. There's a beautiful story. Emperor Alexander, he came to India and he found a yogi and he liked him. He spoke, first the yogi was sitting in a remote place on a rock. So he sent his soldiers, you ask him to come and meet me. The sage sent back news, I have no need to see him, but if he wants to see me, he can come. So Alexander understood that only otherwise he could kill him, This must be a real sage. So he went there and he just came and standing there, and Alexander was impressed and said, can I do something for you? Yes, I'm feeling cold and the sun is falling upon me. You are standing on the way. So Alexander he understood this man has something. So when he was returning back, he told him that I want you to accompany me. We will go to Greece and you can teach to other people. He said, thank you for your offer, but I am not interested in it. And Alexander seems to got very angry and said that if you don't, do you know who I am? I can chop off your head. And then the sage went on laughing and said, this is the greatest lie I ever heard in my life. See, if I think I am the body, I will definitely be frightened of that. If I think I am the Atman, Eyenam Vetyantaram, Eschainam Manyate Hatam, Ubhautav Navijanitu, Nayam Hanti, Nahaniti. Even though it is not related, and bad example, I'll give some example. Not to speak of sage. Even ISIS terrorist is not frightened of death. Because he is waiting to go to paradise where so many young women are waiting for him. He has faith, misled faith, but he has that, he is cheerfully, he is ready to give up life, not to speak of. That's why you will never find fear in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, in the life of Swamiji, in the life of anybody. Okay, this certainty, what is the point we are discussing now? When we are studying the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna or the life of Sri Ramakrishna, the point where you have no right to say whether it is right or wrong. You have a choice either to accept or not to accept. Can't say it is right or wrong because it is beyond our experience. Do you see what is the general point? Of which we have no experience. We cannot say either it is right or wrong. That is very important for us. Now, what is the place of reason then? In Indian philosophy, reason has tremendous place next to scriptural authority. What is that reason supposed to do? Not to contradict the scripture, but how can I understand it properly? So, there are 2 points made here, very important points. How reason can help us. The first point is, if there seems to be any contradiction in the scriptural teaching from one portion to the other portion, then I have to use reason. Why is this person saying this? I will give you an example. In the Vedas, there are 2 contradictory, what is called commandments are given. The first commandment is, no injury should be done to anybody. Ahimsa. No injury should be done to anybody. Nobody should be hurt. The second commandment, you can kill an animal in a yajna, special worship. You can kill an animal. Now there are controversies. One part says you should not hurt, another part says you can kill. Reason has to, do not say scripture is wrong. Scripture can never be wrong. Then why is it giving contradictory? It is not giving contradictory statements. It is telling to 2 different people, one person needs this teaching, another person needs the other teaching. It is leading a person step by step. So what is the first task of reason? If there are seeming contradictions, then the reason should be utilized to help us arrive, to get rid of our doubts with regard to scriptural teaching. What is the second prayojana, second benefit? Second benefit is, all the scriptures are in Sanskrit called, I will use sometimes Sanskrit words because first of all, most audience is Indian, so they understand it better. Second, there are no easy translations or substitutions for some of these words. So, eka artha bodhaka, all shastras are eka artha bodhaka, means all of them, whether it is Bible, whether it is Quran, whether it is Pitaka, whether it is Vedas, all are teaching exactly the same truth. This is called eka artha bodhaka. One meaning only, one teaching only. No contradiction there. They may use different languages, they may use different expressions, but the meaning is exactly the same. This is what Sri Ramakrishna specially is born in this age especially, we will explore it in course of our time, why this particular truth needs to be done. Previously, there was no problem. A Christian is staying in an area which is only where Christianity is practiced. A Muslim was staying only where Islam is practiced. So they never came across, there was no conflict, this religion or that. But now, in the same family, one Christian, one Hindu, one Muslim, one non-believer, all can be together. So that is one of the reasons why to live in harmony, we should know that all of us are seeking exactly the same truth. For example, a Buddhist. One member of the family is a Buddhist. He says God doesn't exist. Another member of the family says, I don't believe in God. Another says, I believe in Christ, etc. That is where Sri Ramakrishna has come to reconcile. So, 2 points you have to note now. We already discussed. What is it? According to Vedanta philosophy, that you will have to accept scriptures in toto. No question of questioning it, whether you are right or wrong, simply because we don't know. Yeah. Second point is, logic is very important. It is not discarded. Now what happened? Why is very important? Now suppose this ISIS fellow, he says, I have faith in scripture, but he doesn't use logic. What is the logic there? God created the whole universe. If God created the whole universe, who is a Hindu, who is a Muslim, who is a... But he is not using logic there. He uses his own logic. That is not called logic. It must be real rationality. Yeah, not rationalizing, but rationality, the ability to think clearly, and that has got 2 purposes I told. What is the first point? If there are any seeming contradictions, really there are no contradictions, seeming contradictions, then his reasoning should convince him, really there are no contradictions. What is the second point? All scriptures, ekartha bodhaka, they are only talking about one truth, nothing else. Because truth cannot be, there cannot be 2 truths, there cannot be contradictory truths, much less. There can be only real truth, can only be one. So, that is why, now the point, we are coming back, Leela Dhyana. I said, why do we study Sri Ramakrishna's life? Leela Dhyana. What is Leela Dhyana? Dhyana means what? Meditation. Leela means what?
Divine life.
Life. And why this Leela Dhyana? That is where Bhagavad Gita, you see, when we are studying Thakur's life, I will bring in Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and also Puranas, and maybe Bible and other things also. But mainly I will focus on Bhagavad Gita because it's easier to understand. There is one verse in the Bhagavad Gita, I think it is in the 4th chapter, I don't remember exactly. That verse is this. Janma karma cha me divyam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti arjuna. So first he says, why God incarnates? That's very yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, you know that. Then he says, Janma karma cha me divyam. Janma means birth. Karma means whatever an incarnation does. Divyam, they are divine. What is divine? Not human. Divine. What is the difference between divine and human? There is a vast difference between divine and human life, human activities. We can understand with the help of reason to some extent, not completely, to some extent. But the birth of an incarnation and the actions of an incarnation is very difficult. They are divya means only by God's grace we can understand. Simple example. Why Sri Ramakrishna had to die? He died of cancer. What did he do? Did he do any evil actions, the result of which is papa, and then he suffered and he died? we can never understand. You may justify he took up the papa of somebody and all these things, okay, but still, why did he do certain things? I will tell you something very funny things also. So, once Holy Mother came to Dakshineshwar. And just before that, Sri Ramakrishna was in an ecstatic mood and he fell down and broke his hand. The first thing he asked, she was nearly 67 miles she had walked, poor lady. He asked, when did you start? And she said, I started Thursday afternoon. Ah, and that is why I have fallen. What is it? He did not even know that she said, otherwise he could have, incarnation of God, he should have told her, look, I am going to do that. You start taking God's name and on a good day. He should have told her. But he did not tell. She did not even know about it. And he fell here. Somebody told him, when you are walking, walk carefully. No, he was not, it is not careful. He was in an ecstatic state. He said, I wanted to embrace Krishna at that time. So this is one. What is this business of Thursday afternoon for the incarnation of God? It's a beautiful song, Purandardasa. You heard about Purandardasa? The greatest saints. He says, you know, Hindus have, everybody has got superstition. Hindus have got terrible superstition. It's Navagraha, 9 planets are ruling every Hindu's life. That's why before entering the temple, whether you have darshana of God or not is later on. But first you have to go around 9 times around the grahas, otherwise they will catch you. Yeah, even Lord Shiva, it is said Lord Shiva. Once Shani Graha, he sent news, you know, from tomorrow onwards, I am going to possess you for 7 days. For others 7 years. But for Lord Shiva, special concession, 7 days. So Lord Shiva said, what can you do to me? But inside was thinking, maybe this fellow will do some mischief. So early morning, before sunrise, he ran away into a forest, saw a huge banyan tree, there was a big hole inside, and he hid himself. So Shanishwara came next morning, and he was, somebody said, we saw Shiva going out early in the morning. So this fellow went on, and just before sunset, he found Shiva. And then Shanishwara stood before him. Shiva said, hey, you could not do anything to me. He said, what? What do you mean? From morning till evening, what are you doing? In this hole, it's all because of me. You can't escape. Hindus are terrible believers in this Navagraha, 9 grahas. Added to that, one more graha catches hold of them. If they, unfortunately, the householders have a daughter, and after her marriage, son-in-law is called Dashama graha. Okay, now what is the point here? What is the point we are talking about? Do you think that incarnation of God should have all these faiths and in all those things? He was behaving like a human being, that's important. Okay, he is also like a human being. He is also having some superstitions. He also behaves in certain respects as a human being. That is part of his Leela. That is why, if we interpret Sri Ramakrishna's life in that sense, we will be doing injustice to him. We cannot understand. We can only say, oh Lord, you are beyond my understanding, but I have faith that I will meditate upon it. So, whoever accepts the divinity of God, his birth and his actions are divine, not to be interpreted in a human way. What happens to him? Yo veti tattvataha, one who knows me thus, tyaktva deham, once he dies, punarjanma na eti, he will not be reborn. Mam eti, he will attain me. That means what? He becomes
one with God.
liberated. That is why that is called Leela. Why do we study? If we can also understand Sri Ramakrishna's life in that sense, then we will also progress in spiritual life and we will also.
Maharaj, when we study the life as an ideal uh,
Yes.
for us,
Yeah.
so literally his the activities in his life or the acts in his life.
Yeah.
How should we look at his acts in his life?
Okay. Two questions. Your question is actually two questions. The first question we are discussing Leela Dhyana. That is to say, you simply meditate like gopis used to meditate on Hare Krishna, like Gopala's mother used to meditate on Gopal, like Thakur used to meditate upon the Divine Mother, upon Rama, upon Krishna, like Radha, like Hanuman. This is purely Leela Dhyana. It is Dhyana. That is one purpose. I am talking about Dhyana. And what happens if we meditate upon Dhyana? We come to know him. Look at him in a divine light, not like another exalted human being. No. However exalted a human being is a human being. We are not talking about Sri Ramakrishna as an exalted human being in this respect. He is an object of our meditation. This is totally separate. But we also have to study him as an ideal human life. This is what I am going to come.
Okay.
So, these are very briefly I will answer, then I will go to, in future classes we will explore. Now, the thing is, this, how this Leela Amrita comes. If we really meditate upon him, then we get a new light to look upon his actions. But we also have to meditate upon him as a mold. Let's say Ramakrishna mission is called Ramakrishna mission. What is that mission? You enter into this mission. Here you enter an ignorant, limited being, and there you come out as liberated soul. Let's say it is not a mission, it is a mission. So we have to meditate on Thakur in two ways. One way is just his divinity. The second way is how can he be an ideal for me as a human being. That is the simplest answer I am giving. Later on we will explore it. Now, these interesting stories are there about Rama, about Krishna, about other incarnations of God. They are all divine. That's why people have lost faith. Virgin birth, for example. We'll talk about it later on. So I am going to talk today only on these two scriptures, Indian scripture, Ramayana and Mahabharata. What is the origin of Ramayana? How did it start? How did it come to be written? Ramayana. So, what he wrote, how did it come? So, what happened? Big story, I will not go today, some other occasion, but what happened? A great sage called Narada came to Valmiki, and Valmiki had a burning question in his mind. Is there any human being in this world who is perfect with this quality? Perfect human being, not perfect God, perfect human being. And Narada gives the description. Yes, there is a human being. He is the son of Dasharatha, and he narrates the whole story of Rama, and that is how Ramayana came to be later on. This is called seed mantra. So Valmiki went on meditating. By divine grace, the whole thing came in his mind. Important point here, he did not write as a human being. He wrote with the grace of God. And that's what Swami Dayatmananda says, I wrote this only by the grace of God. We will explore it later on. This Bhagavatam. How did Bhagavatam come into existence? You see, very interesting story is told, and it is so marvelous even to listen to this story. The story was Vedavyasa, who wrote Bhagavatam? Vedavyasa. And Vedavyasa has done so much work on the Vedas. He wrote Brahma Sutras, he wrote 36 Puranas, he wrote so many other works, but he was not happy. Yeah. Then he was thinking, why am I so unhappy and how can I be happy? As he was thinking, again this Narada comes.
Is everywhere.
Yes. Why, you know why? Because the word Narada means Naram dadati iti Naradaha. Naram means Gnanam. Gnanam dadati iti Naradaha. You see, everything has got wonderful if you understand. Otherwise you see some cinemas, this figure going about creating world wars, then he will have problems.
So, Hare Krishna people say Krishna is God-like. I don't understand. I always ask them, they're giving a different interpretation.
We will not go into it now. That's a different issue. And that is why you have to study the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Then you will understand it. But they say Krishna is God. We have no problem, we accept it.
Yes, yes.
But Krishna is the only God. That's why we have problem. Nobody else is. Rama is not God. Vishnu is not God, etc., etc. That is where we have a big problem. We will not go into it. Now, so Narada says, you are such a knowledgeable person. You have written everything, but you have never written anything about the Leelas of God. You have never described the glories of God. Yeah, always you use rationality, reason, jnana marga. Ananda comes only from bhakti marga, emotion, because happiness is a kind of emotion. So, then tell me, then Narada gives him the clue, write about the glories of God. He gives that seed. And Vedavyasa deeply meditates, by God's grace, the whole thing comes out from him. The whole thing comes out. And then he narrates it to his son, Shukadeva. And that is how Shukadeva happens to come to Raja Parikshit. And he was about to die. And then he narrates this Bhagavatam. And then from there it says, what is the point here? The point is that Bhagavatam is a Leela Dhyan. So, grace of God, not only in spiritual books, even in secular actions. Suppose a great scientist suddenly discovers a tremendous physical law. How does he discover? How does he discover? God's grace. So what does God's grace do? He may not be saying, I believe in God, but his very sincerity is God, belief in God. So he dedicates his life. That's why scientists, everybody is not a scientist. Most of them are technicians. They are intellectuals. But truly creative scientists like Einstein, Max Planck, etc., that comes. Shakespeare, how did he write his works? By the grace of God. Wordsworth, or Longfellow, or Keats, or Shelley, or your Kalidasa. That's why his very name is Kalidasa. It came by the grace of the Divine Mother. This is what we believe, and that is the truth, whether somebody believes it or not. Not only that, something else also I can tell you. Today I am sitting here and talking to you. How did I get this? Do you think I have produced all those things? It is the grace of God. Only coming out because I pay some attention to it, so it comes. My understanding is the grace of God. And if you are able to understand what we are discussing, that is also the grace of God. That's why we pray to Thakur, to Ma, and then to God for His grace, so that we can understand and we can enjoy it. What is the point here? How did this Ramakrishna, Leela Prasanga, life of Sri Ramakrishna came to be? by the grace of God. Is it true? Yes, it is true. We will cite the examples in our coming classes from the great master itself. So the Bengali original name is Leela Prasanga. You should cut off that word Prasanga and substitute it with Jnana or Amrita, Leela Amrita. Yes, you know. And in Hindi and other languages, Sri Ramakrishna Leela Amrita. In Telugu language, Sri Ramakrishna Leela Amrita is Amrita. Tava Katha Amrita. That's why what do we recite from Bhagavatam? Tava Katha Amritam. It is nectar. Your life, your teaching, whatever you do, it is Leela. Now we say, one point to be cleared is, why do we go on saying Leela, Leela, Leela? Leela means, what does Leela mean? Sport. Sport means what? In this world, nothing is really real. It is all like when you are dreaming, it is all real. When you wake up, how do you look upon it? It is all a play of your own mind. So the whole universe is the play of the Divine Mother or God. It's a wonderful idea. So quickly we will go some points. We will talk later on. Point A. Sri Ramakrishna is the embodiment of all gods, goddesses, incarnations, prophets, all religious and spiritual ideals, and all progressive ideas in every field of life. Wonderful idea. We should not be narrow, say Sri Ramakrishna is divine. What about Einstein? Whose Leela is that? Who manifested in the form of Einstein? What is my authority for saying this? You know what is my authority? 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Last, you know. Yadyat vibhuti matsatvam srimad urjitameva tattadeva avagachatvam mama tejo amsha samham. Wherever you see excellence, know that to be a manifestation of my glory through that particular personality. A poet is writing something, it is God's manifest glory. A scientist is discovering, it is God's glory. A mother is lovingly protecting her child, that is also God's glory. Everything is God's glory. This is the fact. So, what is the point here? When we understand Sri Ramakrishna's life, then there will be no discrimination. I am a Christian, I am a Hindu. No, I am a devotee, and everybody who is a devotee is my friend. That is the only idea. Then, Satsanga. Second point, B. What is Satsanga? When we are studying the Sri Ramakrishna's Leela, we are having holy company. What holy company? Sri Ramakrishna himself is the holy company. See, no one can understand other incarnations except through the life of Sri Ramakrishna. What is the point here? You know what is the point? The point is, if a Christian says, I don't believe in other incarnations, I believe only Jesus Christ, we have no problem with that. So long as he is devoted to that idea, we have no problem. But the moment he says, your Ramakrishna is false, your Muhammad is false, your Krishna is false, your Buddha is false, we have big problem. Because that is what is called, neither he understands Jesus Christ. Simple example is, supposing Jesus Christ and Buddha meet. What do you think they will be doing? They will be having AK-47s? What do you think they will be doing?
Embracing.
And dancing. That is what, there is a painting, you know. Ramakrishna got, Suresh Babu got one painting made. You know, all the, including Sri Ramakrishna, they are all dancing in joy. That is the idea expressed. We will see sometime. So, then what happens? That no incarnation's life in the past had been explored as deeply as Sri Ramakrishna's life. These are all vague ideas propagated by vested interests, especially. But when we study the life of Sri Ramakrishna, our understanding of other saints, sages, especially incarnations, will really become great. Why? What is the reason? The reason is every incarnation is only it is the same source, same being. He puts on what we call Leela Manusha Vigraha, Veshadhari, Veshams. These are all Veshams. Vesham, you understand? Is N.T. Ramarao. He was a famous actor. So N.T. Ramarao comes with a dress. Hey, I don't like this dress. Oh, that's no problem. He goes back, he puts on your favorite dress, and he comes. These are all Veshams. That is why we use a very beautiful Sanskrit name, Leela Manusha Vigraham. Leela Manusha Vigraham. What is Vigraham here? Dress. Vigraham means not Murti. Dress. Every Murti is a dress, nothing but a dress. Okay. This is very important. As I said, we will talk about it later on. Rasa Leela. So many people criticize Krishna's Leela with Gopi. What do you think he was doing? Is it a nightclub? Many Hindus, stupid fellows, they have this idea. What is real Lord playing with his devotees? That is called Rasa Leela. What is Rasa Leela? Rasha. Rasa means Rasha. Rasha means Ananda. This is the Upanishad uses the word Rasa. Rasa means Ananda. Raso vai saha. He is, Rasa means Ananda. Anything, mango Rasa. It is God himself. Especially South Indian Rasam. Raso vai saha. Rasam is God himself. See what a response is coming.
God is sour.
We are not talking about sour or sweet. We are talking about the happiness that one gets. There are so many other points. Today we will not go. But the point you said, one small point before we close. The point is, somehow the idea is going round and round. Unless I have so much money, and unless I am married, unless I have this job, unless I have this and that and the other thing, I cannot be happy. When we look at Sri Ramakrishna's life, Holy Mother's life, Swamiji's life, the idea that comes is, a person can be very poor, just to bare minimum, he can be in the highest heaven of bliss. It is possible. And that is proved by Sri Ramakrishna wonderfully well. So what is the point here? What is it you are aspiring after? I want this and the other thing. So you have decided, I will not be happy unless I get this. So Sri Ramakrishna proves, all those things, they are not bad. You can have them. But first of all, there is no guarantee they will give you happiness. And secondly, it is not necessary to have them. You can be very happy without any of these things. Or even to add another point, in many people's mind is that unless I am academic, I have got some literary degrees, I can't be spiritual. He proved it in his own life as well as through his disciples' life, Swami Advaitananda, that it is, he is not against education, but it is not a necessity, it is not a requirement. If you are sincere, that is the only requirement anybody is. This is the human aspect of Ramakrishna for us individually, for the society as a whole. So these are some of the points we will discuss in our next class. Next Saturday there will be no class. I am going out. But after that we will have regular classes.
Maharaj, in 2 weeks' time, will that be Gita? Or?
Yes, we will have Gita. So if we study parallelly, we can have. So we will be discussing these subjects only. So, what is it, Saturday, 2 weeks hence?
27th.
26th, huh?
It's the Easter
Our
weekend.
Easter class is also on the 26th, is it? So we'll come back. So 26th will be our class. So now what I want you to do, see, I wanted this to be a kind of study. Study means you take notes and we will interact. And then before you come, you go through this what we discussed. Otherwise, after 1 or 2 classes, even next class itself, what we discussed previously, most of the time, it won't be there. It is good as a student, we sit down and go through this manana. It will be helpful in a very way for all of us. Next point is, you have to be free. You ask me and let us discuss it. If somebody is I don't agree with you, Swami, that's fine. Or is there some other aspect? I may be missing some aspect. You can add to that, to the class. You also can contribute.
Could I just ask, Swami, are we going to actually be reading, or are we just going to be discussing the works of the Master and the Gita?
My present plan is, I am not going to read
No.
every sentence of it. It is 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
But what I have planned, if you have got better suggestion, you can give me. See, I will take central points, say from 5 pages, 10 pages, and those points we will discuss. And I expect you to read this before coming, so that we can understand what you have read better, is it not? Instead of going through, it will take long time. So this is what we will think.
Well, maybe if it is relevant in when you're giving the notes, just if you could cross-refer the chapters that you want us to put in.
Yes, sir, that's what I am going to do.
Okay.
I am going to send. These are the points we are going to discuss. And from page this to from that page to this page, these are the important points the author wants us to grasp. So, but you have to read, and if you don't read, then it may not be that much clear to us. So let us all read. It is, as I said, it's a meditation. We understand deeply. Most important thing to understand is not academic. It is to develop more devotion to Thakur and better our life. That is a most important part. And these 3 Shantipathas, you better memorize it so we can all chant together. And when we take Gita class, we'll also chant a number of verses. There's a way of chanting. It is a very common, very simple way. It's all written, most of the slokas are written in Anushtup Chanda. So it's not a problem at all. Okay. Om Janani Sharadam Devi Ramakrishna Jagat